Hey guys, before I start the podcast, a quick introduction. My name is Varnit and I'm the founder of PetXL Marketing. PetXL Marketing is a marketing agency that specifically works with pet businesses. Over the years, we have worked with pet food brand, pet relocation businesses, pet SaaS companies, pet clothing brand, cat food businesses, dog grooming services, and many other product and service-based pet businesses globally. Our services includes everything from creating graphics to running your ad campaign. Not only that, we have built amazing websites and apps for pet businesses. So if you have a pet business and would like us to help grow it, click on the first link in the description to book a call with our team. Now enjoy the podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Pet Brand Podcast. I'm your host Varnit, and today we have a special guest with us, Darshankaur, the visionary co-founder of Pets of Paradise. Darshankaur has been making waves in the Indian pet care industry, starting with her earlier venture Waggy Zone, which gained national attention on Shark Tank India. Now, with Pets of Paradise, she's on a mission to redefine pet care through innovative products, a strong sense of community, and a commitment to sustainable practices. From introducing home-style pet food to fostering a thriving pet parent community, Darshan Kaur is transforming the way we think about pet wellness in India. Today, we will dive into her journey, the inspiration behind Pets of Paradise, and her vision for the future of the pet care industry. Darshan Kaur, welcome to the Pet Brand Podcast. It's such an honor to have you here.
Thanks, Vanya. Thanks for having me here.
Great, great, great. So yeah, let's get started from the beginning. Every entrepreneur has a story. So like, what inspired you to co-found Pets of Paradise?
So actually going back, just like a tape recorder, uh, screeching back, I have always been actually pet fearing person. I was somebody who was shit scared of dogs. Sorry for the language, but yeah, I would actually miss my school bus because there used to be a dog who used to be sleeping right below my school bus. So I would have dreaded situations where I wouldn't go. Also, I remember my school friends who would have marks over here because I would just hold them and scratch them whenever I saw a dog, even like say half a feet away from me.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming from that space to falling in love with my first ever dog, who was actually a GS breed. But of course, then I did not know about breeds. It was just a 45-day-old puppy who looked very cute. And
Mm,
my fiance then happened to just foster her for some time. And
mm,
that's how I think it was love at first sight. वो नहीं बोलते आँखों ही आँखों में, we were having love and there were
yeah.
music in the background. And I'm like, oh my God, this is such a cute, harmless thing. But yeah, that's how the journey started. I should say that I'm a converted pet lover. I can say that. And then it's only later when people saw the photos of me with a GSD because she's a German Shepherd, my
Mm.
first one, Tyra, and people are like, "Oh wow, from being scared to a dog, your first pet is German Shepherd." I said, "If I knew they were like this, I don't think I would have done it." But this cute little thing just made me fall in love with her.
Mm.
Um, and because I was a new converted pet mother, I was very
Mm.
excited and I started attending, some short, small gatherings that would happen.
Mm.
This
Are
I'm
like
talking.
getting obsessed with the whole pet parenting thing.
Yeah, you're like so excited about it that this is something so new which you didn't even know existed.
Mhm.
Like they can be so harmless, right? Because I was like, kutta katega, 14 injections lagega. Oh my God, I cannot be next to a dog.
Mm.
Uh, but uh, but yeah, that's how it started.
Mhm.
Going to pet events then when we were pet owners, right? And now I see the transition happening to where we are called pet parents, pet
Yeah,
mother, and
yeah,
we treat them like a child.
yeah,
That ownership status has gone to being parenting. So
yeah, yeah.
I see
Mhm.
that journey. And this I'm talking in 2013, 14.
Mhm.
So attending a lot of pet gatherings, I can say, not events the way it is now. It was just short gatherings in छोटे से park में आप किधर मिल लिए
Yeah,
and people would just meet around. वहाँ पे generally there would be only chicken rice and vanilla ice cream.
yeah.
And that's how I come from a background of, the business of ice creams. We've always been into manufacturing of ice creams. That's my family business. And I
Mhm.
was like, why only vanilla ice cream for the dogs? Why can't we have options for them when we have so many options for humans?
Mm. Mm.
तो वैसे स्टार्ट हुआ था But then, of course, I realized that doodh nahi allowed hai, sugar nahi allowed hai. There are so many things that are not allowed to the dogs. And we started reworking in my factory for my dog.
Mhm.
I was like, इसके लिए मुझे बनाना है.
Mhm.
And that's how the journey of Waggy Zone started, which is the ice creams which you saw on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And pet parents around me, because you know, when you're a first time pet parent, you always meet a group of pet parents whom you're asking कि क्या करना है, कैसे देना है, क्या कर सकते हैं. I
Mhm.
just told them that this is what I'm doing for my dog, and they were like, hey, even we would like an ice cream. And that's how it became an idea for business. It was never meant to be a business. It was
Yeah.
for myself and for my dog.
Mhm.
And then a couple of pet stores also approached me where they were like, hey, this is a unique idea and this is a nice one. Why don't we keep it in Bombay, like from where I am?
Mhm.
And I was like, हाँ क्यों नहीं? And they were even ready to invest into freezers. So they kept a freezer because तब तो मेरी frozen ice cream होती थी, frozen yogurt से बनी हुई. So yeah, that's how it started. And I was like, okay, there seems to be some space here.
Mhm.
And then I realized कि frozen नहीं चलेगा because there is no freezers in the market, and no frozen stuff is kept in the pet store.
Yeah.
So that's how the thing shifted to powders, and the powders were launched during COVID. And surprisingly, the pet parents loved the idea because it was giving them a bonding exercise to do with pet parents. They were excited and thrilled. And
Mhm.
जितना मैंने नहीं सोचा उतने excitement से they would send me videos. Like
Mhm.
तब तो ये था भी नहीं कि user generated content चाहिए
When
Insta.
was this?
This was exactly, I think 2020 में COVID hit हुआ. So 2019 के ending के आसपास I had launched this, and then COVID hit.
Mhm.
And तभी मैं सिर्फ B2B कर रही थी, but because of COVID, even online sales started, which
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't even aware कि ओ ये भी हो सकता है.
Mhm.
And I remember when I was doing frozen, people from Punjab and other places would spend about 2000 rupees just for transport, क्योंकि मुझे ड्राई आइस में ट्रेन के थ्रू डिलीवरी करनी पड़ती थी.
Yeah.
तो
Uh-huh.
उसका एक्स्ट्रा चार्जेस होता था. एंड आई
Mhm.
वुड टेल देम कि आप 5-6 पेट पेरेंट्स साथ में मिलके ऑर्डर कर लो. बट
Mhm.
दे वुड बी लाइक नहीं, आप भले पूरा लॉट मेरे ही पेट के लिए भेज दो. सेंड अस 10 टब्स ऑफ आइसक्रीम, सेंड अस 15, वी आर ओके, वील पे. And I'm like, wow. But then as soon
Yeah.
as powders came, I realized that more people could buy. क्योंकि
Mhm.
अब उसकी शिपिंग कॉस्ट कम हो गई थी. इट वाज एज गुड एज अ नॉर्मल पाउडर आप मंगा रहे हो एम्बिएंट टेम्परेचर पे. तो आई वाज लाइक, दिस इज सॉल्विंग द होल प्रॉब्लम जो मेरा लॉजिस्टिकल इशू है.
Mhm.
And that's how we shifted to powders. And then, of course, you saw Shark Tank happen. After Shark Tank, I was a little off because that point in time, I felt I was mentally not okay. Like I was going through a rough patch, and I was like, यार मैंने क्या ही कर लिया जिंदगी में, कुछ नहीं किया है, सिर्फ एक आइसक्रीम ही तो बनाया, वो भी कुत्तों के लिए. अभी मैं क्या ही कर रही हूँ जिंदगी में. Because I felt like I had hit a that block where I didn't know how to grow vertically or horizontally in Waggy Zone, and anything was becoming very capital intense.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I spoke to Hari, who's my co-founder in Pets of Paradise, and I'm like, मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा है क्या करना चाहिए. And Hari, who's a co-founder, has been a very well-established distributor in the pet space in the south.
Okay.
So I
What
went
was he doing before this, Pets of Paradise?
before him.
Yeah.
So he still runs a company called Europex, which is basically a very big distribution network in the south.
Mm.
Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh. These four states are the where he's basically been doing it,
Mhm.
and he's got more than 6,000, 7,000 SKUs in the pet space, which he was doing.
Okay.
And we met through with via Waggy Zone only because I had just launched and I was doing it only in the Bombay Pune region because that's where I am from, and I knew the people here and stores here. And he contacted and he's like, "Why don't you give me for the South four states?" And that's how we became good friends as well over the period of 3-4 years that we've been
Mm.
working together.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's what he was. He's still into it. He still has his distribution, and then we just felt that when I spoke to him and I said that I don't know what to do and how can either I give up, and I was like, why don't you just take care of Waggy Zone, because this is something I built with really love for Tyra, and I don't know what to do with this. And he said, okay, give me a couple of days. Let's think about this again. And then, of course, I flew down to Pondicherry because he's from Chennai, and we were like, let's catch up. We met there, and then he discussed about it. He said, you know what, D2C is the next thing. People are creating it, and you have a good skill sets of community. Why don't you focus on that? And while I can handle the back end, let's do Pets of Paradise.
Yeah.
And I was like, this sounds like something I can do. But of course, with me comes Waggy Zone, and he was like, yeah, we're more than happy. So in Pets of Paradise, we are majorly focusing on the dog food and the cat food. And we also have the doggy ice creams. That doesn't leave me. So yeah, that's how then Pets of Paradise started. Hari, me, and we have two more co-founders in it.
Okay.
The
And
third
what
one
does
is,
those two handle like in terms of business?
sorry.
What does those two people handle in terms of business?
Right. So between the four of us, I'll just name the four of us. Is one is Hari Shankar, who's basically the founder of Europet and the co-founder of Pets of Paradise. He basically is currently managing the manufacturing and the logistics for IndieCat and Indian Hound, which is our dog food and cat food primarily, which is a clean, healthy, economical range, is what we've launched. So that's what Hari's been handling. And then my second co-founder is Dipesh Kedia. He's basically from Hisar, Haryana. And he's got a whole vertical integration of manufacturing of leashes and collars and harnesses. So he's primarily currently focusing more on the e-commerce platforms, and he's handling all our quick commerce, e-commerce sales that has been going on. And we would be soon launching our Indian Hound walking gears. So that's what he's been
Your
focusing
own
on.
brand, basically.
Yeah. But that's like he's basically handling the walking gears because he has a predominant knowledge on, how the leashes, collars, what material to use, how to have it stitched properly so that it doesn't tear apart. Because with dogs, it's like a little bit of pull
Yeah,
and the buckle stuff. All of this is very important. So he's been doing that, and we'll be launching very soon Scan Me collars also, wherein, there's tags where you can put in the information about your dog so that when you can find him, or who finds him scans and gets you the dog back. So that's something which Dipesh has been doing very strongly. And the fourth co-founder is Bhavya Desai. He's basically an illustrator.
Okay.
And the minute we decided that we have to get in for D2C, we realized storytelling is going to be important for us. That's the way to move forward. And Bhavya, with his very cute illustrations, like basically brings life to those situations which are real life, but in a way where you can consume it. You understand it better. And that's where he's created our two characters who are also our mascots, which is Milo and Bushi. I don't know if you've seen our Instagram, but it's all about this one dog, Milo, trying to tell you stuff that that a pet parent does, or as a dog, what would he require you to do? And then there is Bushi, who is the cat. And in real life, Milo is Hari's dog, who was adopted, and Bushi is Bhavya's cat, who actually just passed away some time back. So, but I'm glad that we made this character, so he lives with us forever. But yeah, that's Bhavya. So he basically illustrates these cute things, cute nudges, cute scenes from real life, and he's helping us create this whole brand persona where we want to make in consumable educational content, especially for first-time pet parents, because we realize that I've been there, Hari's been there, Bhavya's been there, Dipesh has been there. So, we realized that as a first-time pet parent, we always needed that village around us to support us to be able to know what to do. Because आप एक species को लेके तो आ गए, but अब क्या करना है, इसको क्या खाना देना है, इसको कितनी बार देना है. And I feel where we are going, like a majority of us did that, and even I did that mistake, is we humanize the dogs, right? So, or the pets, or the cat, right? You're kind of saying कि अरे मुझे भी नाश्ता चाहिए, मुझे भी शाम को चाय चाहिए, तो अब मैं ये इसको भी दूँ, right? You're not realizing that it's a different species. I mean, even you don't need the nasta and chai. That's a different story altogether. but like that's when we realize कि आप जब you need that support team, which is telling you कि it's okay, 2 टाइम आप दे सकते हो, इतना क्वांटिटी चाहिए, क्या नहीं चाहिए, या ठीक है अगर आप 4 बार दे रहे हो तो how can you divide the grams, all these small things for which you can't every time go to a vet, right? So you feel कि एक supporting community होनी चाहिए.
Yeah. And you are the one who's handling all the community and all the sites.
Yeah, so I handle majorly, I call myself the EQ of the company, where the entire emotional quotient is something I'm handling. I kind of interact with the members, understand what they would require, more about. So I basically am also a pet prana therapist, which is basically I have been studying about the energetic field around a dog and how they tend to absorb our emotions and how they tend to mirror our emotions.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of it deals with how we handle emotions, how we are handling the situations, how what we are doing in the house. And therefore it just happened that I started creating a community because you're constantly trying to understand that how pets are absorbing from you and mirroring you as a characteristic. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And building a business is definitely never easy, right? So like what challenges did you face when creating Pets of Paradise, and like how did you guys overcome it?
I think the four of us did have our own challenges. I have to say that because what I've recently realized is that, like for simple things, I have never been an Excel sheet person. I am still somebody who writes. I mean, you can see I have this fancy pen around me where I'm like, oh, I have to write this down, right? But as the organization is getting bigger and you have a team, you have to be more.
How many team members do you have in total?
So we currently have about 15 to 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We do have a couple of freelancers also with us. So yeah. So what happened is when you're primarily, and I think because four of us have been solopreneurs,
Yeah.
right, coming together, working with each other in terms of, okay, this is his working style, this is my working
Yeah.
style, accommodating that has
Mm.
been quite an interesting journey. I wouldn't call it challenge, but it was more like a journey where you're trying to understand ki, okay. And also the advantage of that is that we've learned, which is what I was trying to say. Like I have a written way of working, but now I'm learning how it should be done by apps, how you integrate it, how
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah.
do it, how you want to check how much time one of your teammate is working or the other one is not, and which was something which was taught to me by the other team members. Whereas similarly, when it came to content, they were like, okay, what to do, how to do, we don't know, and we are like, okay, we'll talk. We'll do this. We'll make some videos.
Mm.
It went out, experimented, and we learned back from it. So I
Mhm.
feel that's there. The second thing is the all of us come from traditional businesses, sort of,
Mm.
where we've built our businesses slow, steady.
Yeah.
Like Waggy Zone itself, I was there for about 4 to 5 years, 4.5 years, just building it on a word of mouth, trust, stuff
Mm.
like that, right?
Mhm.
We never went the startup way. Now
Yeah.
I see that the startup way is like 10x speed you're working. There is like multiple things you're taking care of at the same time, and
Mhm.
which is making us grow daily, I feel, because every single day there is something new that's coming up. You're learning, and then you're mastering it because now you have a team whom you need to
Yeah.
convey the same message to. And there
Mhm.
are so many tools that are just coming down that, oh, okay, this is what can be done, this is what automation can do.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm like, oh wow, this also has an app to do this as well. And I'm like, interesting. So
Mhm.
my point is, I feel four of us had our challenges. Uh,
Mhm.
um, in different ways. But primarily, I feel the number one was for four of us to come together and sink in together as co-founders,
Mhm.
right? Because though we all had the same vision, but everybody has their own ways of working towards the vision. And now
Mhm.
trying to create that puzzle that, okay, this is what we will do, which I feel very blessed that four of us have kind of created a good, how to say, synergy between each other where we don't overstep, there is respect, and at the same time there is that space that, okay, you do this in your way and we are
Yeah.
here to
Yeah.
support you in your challenge.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, that's been a beautiful journey for the last 1.5 years, I have to say.
And can you explain the process of your Waggy Zone, right? Like how explain the process of like Shark Tank. How did you get into it? Like what the whole process looks like?
So actually, I was in Pune. I had just shifted to Pune, and during COVID, and we were working from like I was working from 91 Springboard, and there they have a list of all the members who are there, right? So when Shark Tank primarily first time came to India,
Okay.
they started contacting all these co-working spaces.
Hmm.
And the co-working spaces were told to give like a list of unique startups in their space, like that. So they had approached 91 Springboard, and the head of Pune space had given out our name, that okay, there's someone who's making doggy ice creams as well, and why don't you check them out? So they called me up and they said that, hey, why don't you fill this form, and we would like to have you. So I think season one, I filled the entire form. We went through the whole process, and I was called to Bombay. We gave the interview and stuff like that. But then that didn't happen. Season one, they didn't take us, and we were like, okay. Season two applications again started, and they called us up. They said, why don't you just go to Pune and give the interview? And I said, I don't want to give it this time. I mean, I did the whole mehnat the first time, and you guys just didn't even reply me back. मुझे नहीं आना. But they were like, नहीं नहीं, आपका almost वो fill form हमारे पास already है. We have your details. आप बस चले जाओ. So then, like, my husband was like, कर लेना, like if they're saying it. And I was like, ठीक है, let's do this. So then I went, and it was a very smooth journey. But I think that's because my partial one was done during season one, and they already had the information. They just asked me how much numbers have increased from that time to this time. And I think business-wise also, when season one was there, my numbers were not that high. Whereas by the time I reached the season two time, we were already at 200 stores. There was a validation on Instagram everywhere where people were tagging us. We were already up on Amazon and other platforms at that point in time. So I think that they saw that, okay, there is good enough media already being there. So that happened. And then so the process, if you want to know how it happens, is you have to first fill the form. We filled the form. There was an option of filling in like a 2 minutes video where you're pitching in your idea.
Okay.
And it was a very detailed, like it was 10-pager form. So there was a lot of information, right? You're like writing about how you're doing it, what you're doing, your numbers, your sales, everything. You can come in. I think now they've even opened up in idea stage is what you can enter. After which is they do a call. They tell you that, okay, this is what it is. And if you get selected during that process, they call you to one of the cities where they are taking up the interviews. In that, there would be about 2-3 people from the finance team.
Okay.
I think there are multiple, like one is finance, one is PR, one is this. So I think there is there's a group of 2-3 people who are sitting there. You go there, you pitch them with a presentation or however you want to. You show them your products physically. They physically meet you. They ask you questions, valid questions, as in how many sales are happening, what is your profit, what is simple math about your business. And then if you again get qualified, then they call you for the final rounds.
Okay.
During the final rounds, you stay there for about 3 days, which is like pretty tedious. And while people think it's scripted, it's not scripted. We are like, a lot of people are like, kya scripted tha? Like, no, it's not scripted. They do help you to get familiarized to the situation. Because there are multiple lights, right? And which is daunting. Like suddenly there are 5 people sitting, and you are going to be put so many lights there, like hundreds of lights just on you flashing. It is a little daunting. It is a little taking aback, and you're suddenly nervous. You tend to be like, oh, so many people are now just on you. So yeah, so I think that's a good thing that they familiarize you that ठीक है, इतने lights होंगे, ये जगह है, यहाँ से आपको entry करनी है और यहाँ आके आपको खड़ा होना है. This is your spot. So those simple things I think help you. Even there are some things like, every brand wants to do something special. Like my dog had come, which they didn't show on the show, but because it was a mess, my dog's leash got left, and then he was jumping around. So there was a bit of BTS over there. But, and that too, my second German Shepherd came, who was not at all friendly. Which I realized after bringing him onto the set, because he's suddenly like, what the fuck are you guys doing to me? ये क्या है? इतने lights है, इतने लोग हैं, where have you got me? Luckily, we had some ice creams made there for that time. And I gave him the ice cream and he loved, he was like busy eating. So I'm like, it was still under control. But I do remember that Amin was a little scared and he's like, please hold your dog first and then talk to me. So I think they cut all the crap
Yeah.
there. But point being that, every brand had things that they wanted to do. And I
Mhm.
feel a little planning was needed. I mean, you can't just suddenly have
Yeah.
things coming up there where you don't know that's going to happen. And that's scary for us, right? Because you have to, at the end of the day, know your numbers also,
Yeah.
remember them when they are being asked and not
Yeah.
just forget. So yeah, so a little preparation, but I wouldn't say it's scripted. So it's like that first 2 minutes, you can say something that okay, this is what is there, this is what is going to happen. I have to enter here, stay here, stand here. And this is the 1 minute pitch that I will prepare, which also they helped us in speaking in Hindi because I feel it's a national
Mhm.
episode. So they
Yeah.
wanted us to speak 90% in Hindi.
Mhm.
And people coming from the tier one spaces, like I was from Bombay or there were other people from Delhi, we were
Mhm.
facing a bit of an issue in terms of because I think especially Bombay, our Hindi is very slang. तो
Mhm.
speaking it properly और आप उसको अच्छे से समझा रहे हो was something that they helped us. Also, the same financial team was there, which they wouldn't tell us how much to ask and what to do, but they would tell us that these are the set of questions, or at least familiarize with some terms, financial terms, which could
Yeah.
be asked. And it shouldn't be that over there you don't know ki, Arey, how do I answer this?
Mhm. Definitely. And talking more about the Pets of Paradise, like every successful brand fills some market need, right? So, what gap in the Indian pet care market did you identify when creating Pets of Paradise?
Right. So there's actually two gaps that, I mean, two problem statements that we say we are solving is one is basically clean, fresh, healthy, economical range food is
Yeah.
something that is not pretty predominantly available in the space. Like, I mean, I have to say that me personally have also, I mean, I have three big dogs. So getting any dog food was being like, oh, this is like too much outside food coming, right? I mean, being a typical Indian mother, you're like, oh, मुझे घर का खाना खिलाना है. And I still do at times will be like, कि नहीं चावल मैं चढ़ाऊंगी, things like this where I'm like, it's my baby's food, I want to put in that love
Yeah.
and emotion
Yeah.
into it.
Uh-huh.
And similarly, I did see that, from Hari's perspective also, because he's also very particular about food that he feeds his dogs. And he is someone who takes an interest in being a chef as well. So he was very particular about what's going. And while we were discussing, we did realize that, a lot of food that comes from international standards. So there was
Yeah.
nothing which was more Indianized, and we both are kind of believers of Indian remedies, Indian ways, Ayurvedic style of living. And we said, why not for them? And primarily, they are from India. I mean, they're staying
Yeah.
in India.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
might be a German Shepherd, like I have a German Shepherd and a Husky,
Mm.
but they are staying here. The temperature is
Yeah.
here. And there's a reason why there are fruits, flowers growing at this season.
Mm.
That particular fruit is
Mm.
consumed, right? So and we just put two and two together and we were like, okay, this is what we feel should be there in the market.
Mhm.
And that's how we thought that, that fresh, clean, economic range of food is what we want to have for Indie Cat and Indian Hound.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to solve that. Uh, Primarily, the Indie Cat actually came from the second problem statement, which we were trying to solve, is that 70% of abandonment happens in India because of lack of education,
Mm.
right? And like I was mentioning, you as a first time pet parent, you are very thrilled initially, but the first 60 days, it takes time for you to adjust to this new being
Yeah.
that's come to your
Yeah.
house.
Mhm.
And people bring in seeing these cute reels now a lot more that,
Yeah.
oh, my dog's going to do this, but not every dog will do it. Uh,
Yeah.
Not every cat is going to behave in that particular way.
Mhm.
Especially cat videos, whoever is watching this, I have to tell you, it is
Also, I think a lot of people don't really understand the amount of work it takes to raise them. They just feel like that, yeah, it's an animal, but it's not really.
I think what's happening is one is that they do understand that they will. How do I put it? It looks very glamorizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
राइट? आपको
Maybe
पता है कि ये
they
करना
see
है.
those 30-second reel, like, yeah, playing with the dog, and like, wow, this is great. This looks great.
एग्जैक्टली, आपको लग रहा है कि ओ दिस इज सो नाइस, एंड अब क्या हो रहा है, लोग अलग कह रहे नहीं. आई मीन आई हैव सीन weird different reels. One, from a astrology point of view, someone's like, oh, हमें कुत्ता रखना चाहिए because it is good, it's going to make betterment. ठीक है, आप रखो.
Mhm.
I'm not anti it. But then you have to understand what is going to happen for you to take care of this being, right? You can't just keep jail him, lock him, या आपने बंद करके रख दिया,
Yeah.
या अब आप उसको बोल रहे हो कि तू भौंक नहीं, which is like the primary thing.
Mhm.
It is going to communicate by barking. या
Mhm.
अगर कैट है तो you want it to be now on reels, and cats primarily do not like it when they are stressed, right? They
Yeah.
do not like it कि इतने चीजें उनको hound कर रही है, which is the reason why they go in and want to be cozy, want to be in the space where they are hidden and not visible. That is their nature. You can't force them to be a dog,
Mhm.
right? So अब I feel that जो abandonment आ जाता है, one happens at that stage. The second abandonment that happens is when they are growing a little older. Now they are no longer that कि आप they're jumping around, मस्ती कर
Yeah.
रहे हैं, chill मार रहे हैं. They need care. They need that special support. They need, their knee is going to be hurt. Their bones are going to become weaker. They will require a bit of extra vitamin D. So these things आप नहीं सोचते हो. So and then there is abandonment that will happen. Tertiary, a lot of gifting happens. People are like, जैसे अभी क्रिसमस आएगा, people will be like, oh, let's gift each other pets. You don't know if the other family wants another responsibility,
Yeah.
right? आपने तो एक बार लेके दे दिया, which is ठीक है, but सामने responsibility है एक जीव की. So
Mhm.
we realize that this requires education. आप कितना भी मोर्चा उछालो, आप कितना भी हल्ला मचा लो कि अबैंडनमेंट मत करो, मत छोड़ो, ये नहीं करो, जिसको करना होता है वो करेगा.
Mhm.
ओनली वे ऑफ चेंजिंग दिस स्टैट्स इज बाय टेलिंग देम कि भाई ऐसे आप ध्यान दे दो, दिस इज सिंपल फॉर यू ऑल्सो, एंड द डॉग ऑल्सो लिव्स हैप्पीली एंड टेक्स दिस मच वे, राइट?
Mhm.
So that's when we started with the community. We knew community is the way to move forward for if we want to raise like more of animals around us.
Yeah.
Educating them, which was very important, and which is why we started doing a lot of webinars, and we started doing a lot of getting in. And I was pretty well versed with the experts in the industry, so asking them to help these people out, that has helped a lot to the community.
Mhm.
Coming back to Indie Cat, so what happened is when we created Team Bushi, which is the cat, our mascot, and there's a Team Bushi where all cat parents come together and they talk about whatever they wish to.
Yeah.
Major constraint was on nutrients. Major constraint was on, major conversation around was on food. And that's when we realized, and that's how IndieCat was formulated also, because we kept hearing them multiple times conversation in the community talking about, hey, we like this food, but this is expensive. Hey, these are the things we require in nutrients, but this is getting very expensive. So I'm by the end giving something which is cheap, but I'm feeling guilty about feeding this as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's when we were like, okay, so many cat parents are living in that guilt of not being able to feed what they should be feeding or what they would want to feed.
Mhm.
And not everyone can give fresh food. Like that is something I have understood with the community, that there are different kinds of spaces you are coming from, right? And you could be busy. So creating that space कि ठीक है आपने बस पैकेट खोल के बना के दे दिया is something, then you are easier, you feel relief, you don't feel guilty about
Yeah.
having a living being where you're not being able to take care to your 100%, and
Mhm.
basically affordable, because that was the whole point which they kept saying on the community, that जो खाना देना है वो बहुत expensive है, और जो
Yeah.
नहीं देना चाहिए वो cheap है, और जो
Mhm.
दे सकते हैं वो हमें guilt हो रहा है. तो we were like, fine, let's just have this as sorted out. So yeah,
Mhm.
I feel the community helped us solve the first problem as well, where they gave us their feedback, they told us this is what we would want in the food, and then that's how we created IndieCat. So I feel two primary things is, one, the clean, fresh, economic food range, and the second one is that educational content which people require, uh, and a community to ask simple questions where they don't feel that nahi karna chahiye. Even to the extent I feel like as a pet parent, there are times, because I do get a little overwhelmed at times. एंड मैं तो बोलती हूँ लोगों को कि ये लोग मेरे छाती पे मूंग डालते हैं बिकॉज एक्चुअली जब मैं उठती हूँ one of them that is Zeus comes and sleeps on my chest and he's really heavy because a German Shepherd who's almost 30-35 sitting on your chest and I'm like ये लोग मेरे छाती पे मूंग डाल रहे हैं but I mean jokes apart I'm saying it jokingly but there are times when you just want an off right you
Yeah.
want because I'm working from home and there's constantly they are there around me. There are
Mm.
times when I'm like, okay, I need a break, which I feel are honest conversations. And that for this, I can't go to a vet. I can't go to a nutritionist. I can't go
Yeah,
to
you need a community for them.
a community.
Mm.
It is a community where I can just say, I am tired, right? And, or even I think a recent incident that happened on the community is one of the cats was getting neutered and there was some fishy stuff happening where the cat parent didn't know how to respond and she immediately put it up on the group ki, hey, this is what is happening, is this normal, is this how the reports come, is this what should be done, right? And there were 10 more cat parents who are replying to it and giving her that ease that yeah, this is what happens, or no, this is not how a dog should reply, things like
Yeah.
this which you don't know if you're first time getting your pet neutered.
Mm.
And I remember that she had told us what date and time the operation would happen. And I'm not kidding. There were 10 cat parents, and one of it was me as well. Stand, like asking her on the group, ki, hey, did it start? Was it okay? Do you need
Yeah.
something? We are here for you. We're praying for you. Like it's just, oh wow, there's an extended
Hmm.
entire family there who's worried about my Chico who's getting neutered, right? So
Hmm.
it's such a beautiful feeling. Recently, another cat got adopted via this and then the feeder was behaving a little weird and then we are giving her messages as to how to draft and send it like till that level the cat parent
Yeah.
is willing to help you.
Hmm.
Or recently we heard one of the cat parent is from Odisha and she's basically not even having the access to tricat, which is a very basic medication
Okay.
is
Okay.
which we have. And I was just
Hmm.
discussing, I was like, hey, I'm in Pune. We even have an eye specialist here for pets.
Okay.
And you in Odisha are not even
Hmm.
getting access to a simple medication, right? And
Hmm.
Chandigarh messaged me, hey, we are not getting the joint supplements, for our dog who's got old and it's very cold there.
Hmm.
And I'm like, wow, this is so interesting that just by putting it out here, there are others who are like, hey, we'll buy, we'll ship it to you. Hey, we'll do this. Let us find some solution for you, right? So these are things which I feel come up only in a community.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. And every brand has its customer favorite. So, like, what are some of the most popular products do you have in your range?
So currently, like I said, Waggy Zone is something
Hmm.
people are excited about
Hmm.
because it is at the end of the day doggy ice cream where people are like, oh, this is such a cute one that gets it. But I think primarily we have been focused on Indie Cat right now,
Hmm.
which is the cat food, which, like I said, has been something we've built for the community by the community only, because they did guide us and we take immense proud in that it's them because at the end they have to use it, right? It's uh पूरा मास मेरे लिए तो नहीं प्रोडक्शन होने वाला, it has to be for them, it has to be something which they feel can be incorporated into their daily life.
Mm-hmm. Or are there any plans to expand the product line beside this food?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we do have the food coming in, but apart from that, we are also planning to have walking gears of
Mm-hmm.
Indian Hound, which is the leashes, collars, and harnesses, which we would be
Okay.
launching. And of course, the
Mm-hmm.
Scandi collars as well. We also have reflective collars for the community dogs because a lot of feeders keep complaining that, in the night, the dogs are not visible. They sit at very different odd spaces. So we said, why not have an economical range in that as well, where feeders could take, for the reflective ones for the streeties that are there.
Mm-hmm. Also, the India's pet care markets, like it's growing, right? So, like, what opportunity do you see for growth in this sector? Let's just say in the whole sector as a whole. Let's just say somebody wants to get started in the pet industry. So, where do you think you're seeing the growth specifically?
There is a lot of growth, but Varnit, I have to be honest to you. There is
Mm-hmm.
every second day a new startup coming in the pet space, thinking it is too glamorized, thinking it is
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
आप numbers देखोगे तो somebody is writing 30 CAGR से grow हो रहा है,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
someone writing 18 से grow हो रहा है. But there
Mm-hmm.
are some facts that needs to be known. Pet industry in India is still at a very nascent stage.
Yeah, yeah.
आप
I think
समझ सकते हो
people
कि
needs to be educated more.
you have to be educated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did that mistake in Waggy Zone. मैं बस घुस गई थी out of passion कि अरे नहीं ये करना है. There was no plan, there was no strategy, there was no research.
Mm-hmm.
While it helps you to a certain extent because आपको passion से कर रहे हो, but passion at the end of the day आपको खाना तो नहीं देगा घर पे. And
Mm-hmm.
आप business कर रहे हो तो पैसा तो कमाने के लिए करोगे ही ना. मतलब otherwise why are you doing it, right? There are
Yeah, yeah,
different
definitely.
stakeholders to a
Mm-hmm.
company.
Yeah.
So that I feel कि अगर आप घुस रहे हो into pet space, आपको करना है, do it. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying do your research. Don't just go by the numbers कि यार ये बोल रहा है कि इंडस्ट्री बहुत अच्छे से ग्रो हो रही है, यार
Mm-hmm.
30% का CAGR, ये तो और कोई इंडस्ट्री में हो ही नहीं रहा है. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
reason अभी 30 CAGR दिख रहा है
Mm-hmm.
आपको, क्योंकि वो अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड है. वो ऑर्गेनाइज हो रहा है. देयर इज,
Yeah.
इट्स ऑब्वियस, राइट,
Mm-hmm.
इट्स ऑब्वियस कि जहां पहले कम डॉग, लाइक आई सेड, इट्स अ होल चेन दैट हैज हैपेंड फ्रॉम ओनर्स टू पेरेंटिंग. आप
Yeah.
लोग ले रहे हैं, यू आर सीइंग दैट दे आर टेकिंग इट, बट वो कितना टाइम आपका रिटेंशन चलने वाला है, कितने टाइम तक आप उसको रिटेन करके रखोगे, ऑल ऑफ दिस इज समथिंग यू हैव टू थिंक.
Mm-hmm.
यू कांट जस्ट जंप इनटू इट. आप जाके बात करो दूसरी, या आप, ओके, इफ अ पेट एंटरप्रेन्योर डजंट वांट टू गाइड यू, आप एटलीस्ट ऑब्जर्व तो कर सकते हो.
Yeah, yeah.
पेट पेरेंट्स से पूछ सकते हो कि कितना
Mm-hmm.
खर्चा आप कर रहे हो पूरे महीने में.
Mm-hmm.
एंड एज आई हैव ऑल्सो रियलाइज फर्स्ट टाइम पेट पेरेंट्स हम बहुत खर्चा करते हैं बिकॉज यू आर वेरी एक्साइटेड, यू आर वेरी thrilled about
Yeah,
this.
definitely.
The years pass by, you do find out ways of, reducing your cost overall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mother to 3 dogs, right? I have been cooking throughout, right? So it's like I'm outrightly not a customer to any pet food brand originally, right? Because
Yeah,
मैंने
yeah.
कभी नहीं लिया. Because for me it was कि अरे 3 बड़े कुत्तों के लिए मैं कौन इतना बड़ा बड़ा सैक्स लेके आके घर पे रखेगा. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like that money. So you go out, you see, आप इंडस्ट्री रिसर्च करो,
Mm-hmm.
आप
Talk
अपना,
to your customers.
या I mean, don't buy the numbers that are there on magazines. And I honestly believe, Varnit, in any space, any industry, there is always market if you find
Mm.
the right gap.
Yeah, yeah.
और आपको गैप तब मिलेगा जब आप जाके एक्चुअल कस्टमर से बात करोगे.
Mm.
I mean, the only reason 4 of us could find this gap is because we've been in the space, we've been speaking to pet parents, and we are ourselves pet parents.
Yeah.
We've
Mm-hmm.
we've seen the gap. We've seen, like I told you, as a first time pet parent, being a converted pet lover, I didn't know anything about my dog. I didn't even know कि वो GSD breed की है. Forget anything else. I didn't even know what the breed is, right? I
Mm.
got educated from there to कितनी बार खिलाना है, कि कितना मीट देना चाहिए, to क्या exercises are necessary for a GSD. What is the, अच्छा उसमें भी now my first GSD and the second GSD are absolutely different.
Yeah.
Right, the first one is absolutely like she's got this very royal energy where she'll always be ki, oh, I am the princess of this house, and she will be very delicate about things. If there's a child, she's very delicate, she won't nudge the child.
Yeah.
The second one is absolute gunda, that he's jumping around over the other. He doesn't know that he's heavy and he'll just come and sit on you, and he's just going on to the puddle and not being very
Uh,
delicate about it. And I'm
yeah.
like, this is nowhere like my first one. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to say is कि ठीक है, आपको बहुत generic information मिल जाएगा, but
Mm.
at the end of the day, when you
Yeah.
talk to a consumer or a customer, there will be a lot of insights you will get. So if you are an inspiring entrepreneur where you feel, oh, I want to do this, and you found a gap, आप फॉर्म्स बनाओ, आप रिसर्च भेजो, आप करो, सिट विद 20 पेट पेरेंट्स,
Mm.
रिप्लाई लो उनसे, देखो इफ दे विल इवन बाय दिस और नॉट.
Yeah. Yeah.
बिकॉज आपको लग रहा है ये गैप है,
Mm.
एक्चुअली कितना बड़ा गैप है, यू डोंट नो,
Yeah.
राइट? एंड ऑल्सो समथिंग लाइक व्हाट आई डिड, लाइक डॉगी आइसक्रीम, इट्स नॉट अ नेसेसरी आइटम.
Yeah. Mm.
Right, so I couldn't build, like I told you, after Shark Tank I was at a point where I was like कि मैं इसका, there's no moving forward. Either So I wanted it to grow as a manufacturing unit, right? I wanted it to actually be exported because I know as India, it is a niche, maybe niche का item.
Yeah, definitely.
यहाँ आप लोगों को एजुकेट करो कि डॉग को उनका स्पीशीज स्पेसिफिक फूड दो, रोटी दाल चावल मत दो। आप
Mm.
वहां से सीधा जा रहे हो कि नहीं मैं तो आइसक्रीम बेचूंगी।
Yeah, that's
Of course, it was not at the right
Mm.
time that I started.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to waste that time.
Yeah.
And I did it because it was passion. Like I said, आप घुस जाते हो कि नहीं बस मुझे करना है।
Mm.
It's only later that you realize, and now that you have a good amount of knowledge of what pet parents would actually want, you are building a product which they want and not just
Mm.
what you want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I
Definitely.
feel वो एक बहुत important है because as young entrepreneurs you're like हाँ हाँ नहीं नहीं हो जाएगा कर लेंगे
Yeah.
हम इसके लिए पूरा create कर लेंगे, which even I was like ice cream is a new category we will create. आप
Yeah.
कर लोगे but then you will burn yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what happened to me. Like after 3 4 years I'm like this is taking a lot of time and effort and और कोई कर नहीं रहा है। See now
Mm.
90% पेट पेरेंट नो कि आपको एक स्पीशीज स्पेसिफिक एटलीस्ट फूड खिलाना है। आप कोई भी ब्रांड का खिलाओ बट एटलीस्ट
Mm.
इतना नॉलेज आप तक पहुंच चुका है बिकॉज देयर आर 10 पेट फूड ब्रांड्स,
Yeah.
राइट? कॉन्स्टेंटली दे आर हिटिंग यू, हैमरिंग यू, टेलिंग यू कि यार खाना तो इनका अलग है।
Mm-hmm.
तो अब आपके दिमाग में बैठ गया कि यार कुत्ता आएगा तो कुत्ते के साथ उसका अलग खाना है,
Yeah. Yeah.
किसी के साथ
Mm-hmm.
उसका अलग खाना आएगा। एटलीस्ट
Mm-hmm.
इतना इंफॉर्मेशन आपके पास है,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is because there are competitors, and which is why I
Yeah.
love competitors. Like running alone in the race, you're like मैं
Mm-hmm.
अकेले आइसक्रीम किसको बेचूंगी? आप
Mm-hmm.
एजुकेट भी खुद कर रहे हो, आप बता
Mm-hmm.
भी खुद रहे हो,
Yeah,
आप
yeah.
बेचोगे भी
And
खुद ही।
also the businesses which has competition is good. Like it's good to
Absolutely.
enter because then you know that there is actually demand in the market, right?
हाँ, but in
Mm-hmm.
that I will always say have your जैसे आपका स्पेसिफिक यूएसपी क्या है?
Yeah.
What are you bringing on the table which another brand or another service is not bringing?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Talking more about the branding and marketing side, like what marketing strategies have worked for best for the Pets of Paradise?
I think it's a community.
Okay,
Also, I
building
feel
community
कि
first.
community आपको खुद ब खुद I mean, I shouldn't. I mean, it is funny, but today morning only, one of our teammates said that one of the members of Team Bushi said that, "Arey yaar, meri beti, like the cat asks me for something and just one meow and I will do it."
Hmm.
The point was that you shouldn't overfeed. And she said, ki, but yaar, the eyes are so cute. He comes and he asks and I can't resist and I give it.
Hmm.
ठीक है? And then she's like, but similarly, my son will come. The human son will come and
Yeah,
ask for an ice cream
yeah.
with the same puppy eyes. And I'm like, no, you cannot eat it. Ice cream is not good for you. So,
Hmm.
and she only said, she said, what if I make a meme about this where, the cat is being given more love than the mother? So coming back to
Mhm.
marketing strategy, I immediately reached out to her and, we were like, why don't we make this meme and put it up on our page? And meme is something you connect with because
Yeah.
it's a
It's
situation.
yeah. It's also very organic.
Yeah. So
Mm.
my point is why I like the community is because they give you ideas.
Mm.
They love to make the fun content as well, because pets are their babies, and that little validation that he's being put up on a page. There's going to be an Instagram thing on it.
Yeah.
Just gives you that immense love.
Mm.
We covered so many of adoption stories.
Mm.
We've covered so many of help that one member has given to another.
Mm.
I feel that builds the organic group where
Mm. So basically, what you guys do, like you build the community first. Matlab, your first step is like to get the traffic to your community and then try to sell them. Is that what you?
yeah, I think that happened organically. That was not the
Okay.
plan, but that's
Okay.
what happened. We thought that okay, there will be a community.
Mm.
But I feel naturally because of Waggy Zone, I had knowingly, unknowingly already created a community.
Yeah.
Because I was educating them, and while educating them, I was learning a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So आप अपने जो भी studies कर रहे हो, आप जो भी prepare कर रहे हो, like because then I started studying about behavior, you start studying about nutrition, you start studying about it, you want to share it with other pet.
Mm.
Hmm.
So automatically, आप एक organically you are providing something.
Yeah.
Also, our cat parents group, that is Team Bushy, is damn noisy. They talk every time. There's a lot of cat photos that will keep coming in, and they make up conversations amongst themselves as to what the cat is talking to them, and which is very interesting to see that as a cat parent how perspectives we are putting into that situation.
Hmm. Hmm.
But coming back, it just happened. What I realized is that act of creating a platform
Hmm.
where education or shared knowledge
Yeah.
was way more easily accessible
Yeah.
automatically opened up a lot of ways for us. Now it's
Yeah.
on you how you want to capitalize on it, right? I mean, you
Hmm.
have the conversations, you have the content, you have the people who are willing to
Hmm.
the engagement. Now it's on you if
Hmm.
you're capitalizing it or not.
Basically, you're providing the value for free, and in return, you're getting the community, which you can sell
Yeah,
the
which
tool.
just happened because even with the experts being on board, there are experts on the group,
Hmm.
and then there are people who will share their reports, or they will probably just ask, "This is what my cat is doing," and the team guides them as to what an expert also they require. Because
Hmm.
sometimes it is very confusing. You feel that this cat is not well, but it could just be a behavioral issue, or a dog is not, understanding, but it could actually be a medical issue. So we feel that when that situation is put and everybody puts in their perspective, they can be guided rightly to the right, how do I say, to the right expert. So it's not
Hmm.
only, I wouldn't say it's only about education always, but it's also about that, like I said, a village around you which is
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
that same boat with you.
Definitely. Or are there any plans do you have to like expand this internationally?
Yeah, of course, we do wish to, because at the end of the day, we are primarily Indian manufacturers,
Hmm.
and which is like I told you, as even Waggy Zone, when I started, it was very clear in my head that I wanted to grow, but because this is my home ground, I'm going to test it here.
Hmm.
So that's what I did. But yeah, of course, we would like to, but I don't think that would happen like this year or something. I mean, it'll take some time for us to be able to go export, because that requires a different set of credentials that you require.
Yeah,
A lot of
definitely.
paperwork happening. There's a lot of backend that needs to be taken care of.
Hmm.
A lot of licensing that you would have required, and that's a different
Hmm.
marketing ballgame altogether.
And for the Indian pet care industry, like, do you require license for that, creating food and all, pet food?
There are a couple of tests you can get done from the veterinarian, colleges and hospitals. They do help. They have sections.
Hmm.
So ours we've got tested from Bombay Veterinary College, and
Okay.
then they also give you a recommended letter kinda where they will tell you कि okay, इतना आप खिला सकते हो बिल्ली को या dog को, whatever species specific you're doing, or they'll even mention what proteins is there, what is there, things like that. So that
Hmm.
can be done predominantly,
Hmm.
especially in the food space. Rest, I feel everyone's just going by the human grades that are already established, where they follow those same rules.
Yeah. So how do you envision Pets of Paradise evolving in the next 10 years?
We definitely want it to be a bigger brand. I would say we have more
Obviously.
than 1 lakh pet parents in it. That's my target, at least. That
Mhm.
there's so many pet parents who are educating and helping each other. And at the same time, we would like to increase the adoptions that are happening, because if you make it easy, then where the NGOs we see are struggling, we want them to be a part of our team, wherein there is like good amount of adoptions happening on a
Mhm.
yearly basis. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's where we envision it.
Great. And last question from my end. Building a legacy it takes times, right? So, like, what impact do you hope Pets of Paradise will leave on the Indian pet care industry?
Honestly, I am not looking at the impact on Indian pet care industry. I'm looking at the impact on the ground level at the society.
Okay.
Because we predominantly in Pets of Paradise, while we are of course working with pets very closely, we are also working towards the community animals.
Mhm.
Because I feel that by educating, and if you see my Instagram even now, our content is divided into three parts, where it is dog parent, cat parent, and community parents, right?
Okay. Mm.
Because while I have three dogs in my house, there are about 7, 8 dogs out in the road right outside my house, right?
Yeah.
And if I can just create a comforting environment for them, I feel it's just solving a lot of our purposes. And there's a reason why dogs or animals are required, right, in the society. I mean, God is not mad just na कि नहीं मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है तो मैंने बना दिया animals को भी.
Yeah.
There's a purpose they're
Yeah,
solving.
definitely.
There's a whole ecosystem around, right? There's an ecosystem why there are fishes, there's an ecosystem why there are trees, there are animals, there's a sun, there's human. It's an ecosystem. You can't just say कि नहीं, I am separate from this. So the impact I really envision with Paradise is educating every single person कि this is an ecosystem. आपको ये ecosystem follow करना है. बिल्लियां हैं आपके बिल्डिंग में, वो रहेंगी. They will give birth, there will be food, there will be shelter, there will be taking care. You have to take care of sterilization for them because you have already intervened in that system.
Yeah.
A lot of people come to
Yeah.
us and they say, oh, I should get sterilized. It's a nature thing. What you're not realizing is in nature, when they were living, they would
Yeah.
give birth to 6 kittens, yeah, 6 puppies.
Yeah.
उसमें 1 या 2 will survive.
Yeah.
Right? It was always the fittest who would survive.
But now you are interfering with them, giving birth to
आपने
them.
उनको आप बचा रहे हो, which is good. I'm not saying आप मत करो, but then don't increase the population because there is lack of resources.
Yeah.
आप फिर झगड़ा क्रिएट करो. जो majority fight is happening कि dogs bite कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे, वो कर रहे. There's lack of resources, there's lack of love also. A lot of
Yeah.
people have seen throwing stones and stuff like this, right?
Definitely.
Not only on the animals, but on somebody who's feeding them also.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a very, it's like you're dividing the whole space. Oh, you're a dog lover, you're a non-dog lover. I'm just, at least आप exist करने दो. You don't want to feed, don't feed. But जो feed कर रहा है या जो उसका ध्यान दे रहा है, at least उसके लिए hindrance मत बनो.
Yeah. But the person who's also feeding the dog, they also should be responsible for them.
Absolutely. That is something I predominantly, I mean, I remember this case in our teams also in members where they were like, oh, we just feed them outside our house. And I told them, no, this is not okay because आप एक building में रह रहे हो, आप 3rd floor तक लेके आके अपने घर के बाहर अगर दे रहे हो, so that animal, that pet, that dog or cat gets used to coming till the 3rd floor. Now that you've given it access, the 1st floor and the 2nd floor people, or maybe your neighbor in the 3rd floor doesn't like it.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying ki, oh, my neighbor, no, the opposite dog parent allows the dog to come out और वही फ्लोर में थोड़ा बाहर जाके लिफ्ट के वहां पे उसको सुसु करने देता है क्योंकि वो बोलता है कि वो जो बिल्डिंग का साफ करने आएगा वो उधर ही साफ कर देगा. तो आई एम नॉट एंटी कि आप अपने इसका ध्यान दो. आई ऑलवेज से like you have to scoop the poop once it's done. You can't leave it there. You are then creating more nuisance and then there's more fights going to happen. And who's going to suffer? It's the street dog.
Yeah.
गुस्सा किस पे निकालेंगे? वो उस पे निकालेंगे. हमारे डॉग को तो कुछ करेंगे नहीं कि पता है ये लोग आ जाएंगे. Right? अब उनके प्रोटेक्शन के लिए it's both the sides. You can't be extremist in either case is what I have very strongly anyway felt, where you have to
find a middle ground. Yeah.
हाँ, which is what I'm saying. आप इकोसिस्टम में आप अपना भागीदार दो. नहीं दे सक रहे तो आप मूव ऑन करो.
Yeah.
You don't have to then contribute in the wrong way is what I'm just trying to say. कि वो मत करो. While we also have, I mean, if you see, we've been putting out posts even for feeders, where we'll say कि clean कर लो after you have given food. कचरा उधर ही मत न्यूज़पेपर रहने दो जहाँ पे आपने खाना दिया है, because at the end उसके ऊपर कोई पैर देगा, उसके ऊपर मक्खी बैठेगी, उसके ऊपर इंसेक्ट्स आएंगे, उसके भी थ्रू आप इन्फेक्शन फैला रहे हो. So don't just blame the other while you're doing good. Do it अच्छे से.
Yeah.
Find a way. We've been, I think when I was staying in Noida, I was constantly fighting for one spot to be there for feeding the dogs and cats. Right? Because आप जब feeding center बनाते हो, they get used to coming there.
Yeah.
आप फिर उनको सब जगह फैला के मत रखो, because not everybody is comfortable with them.
Definitely.
Which is fair enough. And I understand that because I've been a dog fearing person. I've been a cat fearing person.
Yeah.
Right? So I understand.
You have like the both side of the story.
I understand both the psyche, where now I love my pets a lot. But there was a time when I wouldn't go to somebody's house who had a dog. So the fear is real. Like, don't just say कि नहीं यार ये तो क्या है? What will the dog do? What will a cat do? नहीं, वो भी and very surprisingly, I spoke to a few volunteers and they also said the same thing. They said that we've seen some animal lovers or being very aggressive.
Yeah.
And my whole point was that you are trying to say love an animal. But if you're going to be somebody who's spreading so much aggression, so much
Yeah.
irritation, so much
Mm.
frustration around, how are you creating a safe environment?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there, I mean, I'm not saying don't fight. Of course, if आपकी building में झगड़ा हो रहा है, like in Noida when they were trying to throw out the puppies from the building, we fought.
Mm. Mm.
But how to fight, I feel with education.
Yeah.
You tell them this is the law, this is how it has to be, and then find a way to create a between system. I'll give you
Mm.
example. There's a very beautiful society in Delhi, right? And she's a very close friend, Amelia, where what she does is she brings the society together,
Mm.
and especially the kids. Now,
Yeah.
what she's doing is she names every stray dog in the society,
Mm.
and they will make posters of it. Ki, hey, this is Kalu. This is how
Mm.
he looks. Put a photo, and the children are doing this. Now, what happens is the children become a part of it.
Yeah.
Parents become a part of it, and they have
Mm.
clearly written, ki, this is Kalu. He sleeps at this time. He is
Mm.
a little scared dog, so please don't go close to it when it is sleeping.
Yeah.
Now I felt so beautiful. I can't tell you, Arnit. I was like, wow, like the whole building has come together,
Mm.
help those dogs to stay. The kids are doing fundraising जैसे हम गणपति में करते हैं या जैसे
Yeah.
हम दिवाली में करते हैं कि
Mm.
हमको आप
Mm.
chanda de do to do this event. They are doing it for sterilizing the dogs and cats, and
Mm.
the kids were so actively doing it.
Mm.
And I remember shooting them, and the kid telling me, "Ki we shouldn't disturb the dogs with the fatakas because."
Yeah.
They are also part of the family,
Mm.
so I will
Mm.
not burst the crackers. And this is like a 6-year-old
Mm.
kid telling me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, that now makes sense where
Mm.
he's more concerned about Blackie or Kalu, and he's like, कि नहीं मुझे
Yeah.
उसको डराना नहीं है. Rather, I will share my sweets with him. And that's when I was like, I don't want to correct him. The dogs can't eat sweets.
Yeah. I
Because
was
I'm
going
like,
to
it's
say so.
okay. तुम दो.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
least there is love
Yeah,
coming.
I'm like it's a step-by-step process. You
Yeah.
cannot just throw that like
Yeah.
extremes
Yeah.
on them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, up fight karo, but then find a solution which is midway.
Mm.
Don't be
Definitely.
absolute aggressive. I mean,
Mm.
जहाँ झगड़ा करने की जरूरत, I mean, there are so many organizations right now which are helping. I am seeing वो लोग legal notice भेजने में help कर रहे हैं. वो लोग आपके लिए phone calls करके धमकी दे देंगे सामने, which is needed when सामने वाला is attacking at you. You don't go and
Mm.
attack people is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely. So Darshankar, this has been an absolute pleasure having you on the Pet Brand podcast. Your journey with Pets Paradise and the passion you
Sorry
bring.
about the extra gyan that I
No,
gave.
no, no, absolutely. It was amazing. It was a fun podcast.
Right.
Because usually I get on podcasts with the international they are like international founders and all. It's like very serious. It's like, okay, this question, next question, this question, next question. It was more like a conversation between, yeah, amazing. And I'm sure our listener have taken away so much from our experience and insight and vision for the future of pet wellness. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and for all the amazing work you're doing to make the world a better place for pets and their parents. We can't wait to see what's next for Pets of Paradise.
Thanks, Varnit, and all the best to you. Amazing podcast. Thank you so much.